squirrel sings, but the rabbit digs too deep, unveils secrets meant to keep. Eyes like daggers cut the dark, blazing trails ignite the spark. We're the thunder in the storm, breaking free from their old norm. Tin Hat Thursday, light the flame.
Ripon Rabbit Hole is a community-driven radio. At times the community comments may reveal prejudices and other beliefs that we or our sponsors do not condone. Views or opinions expressed by the community, callers, or guests, are those of the individual speaking and do not represent the views or opinions of this site. Ripon Common Sense content is intended for mature audiences only. Enjoy.
Cut the dark, blazing trails ignite the spark. We're the thunder in the storm, breaking free from their old norm. Tin Hat Thursday, light the flame. Sparks ignite, don't play the game. Rip it open, break the mold. Truth is fire, truth is gold.
Good evening and welcome to Tin Hat Thursday. It is Thursday, May 23rd. April 23rd, 2026. I'm getting a little ahead of myself, folks. I am Screech Scott.
And I'm Red.
And we are coming to you live from our perch high above the western shores of Lake Michigan, where we will be screaming 360 degrees of truth. We want to thank you for joining us on Tin Hat Thursday and hope that you will join us right here on Ripon Common Sense Radio each and every Thursday night at 8 p.m. Central. If you are listening on Rumble or on YouTube, we invite you to hop on over to riponrabbithole.com and join the rest of Tin Hat Nation in the VIP Backstage Lounge, which really is the best place to listen to the show. The Backstage Lounge is free and always will be. Go to riponrabbithole.com. Click on the Backstage 24/7 Lounge in the taskbar. Scroll down a bit until you see the Backstage Lounge and click on the big red Enter Now button. Allow the permissives, put in your name, and join the fun. Just remember to keep yourself muted until the show ends. Listen to the show and then hang around for some spirited discussion with others. The Backstage Lounge is a great place to meet new friends and talk about anything that you want to. And we can speak from experience when we say that you will often find screech owls deep into the early AM hours. That is riponrabbithole.com. riponrabbithole.com. And if you're listening on Rumble or YouTube, I believe that Red put the link in the chat. So if you want to come on over and join us in the Backstage Lounge and check it out, click on that link and it'll bring you right over.
Yep,
one of the things we're going to talk about tonight, Red, just like WEC or the My Boat, My Boat, you don't have to create an account.
Nope.
You don't have to put in a password.
A username or password.
You just come on in and have some fun with us.
Oh, and another thing is we don't sell your information.
We absolutely do not. Well, Red, we've been talking an awful lot about Harry Waite over the last month or so since his trial. Well, over the last few years.
Yeah,
but
more
a
so,
lot.
Yeah.
Since his hearing was held the end of last month.
Correct.
And Red, when we talk to people, we often hear, it's we're looked at like nutcases when we say that people can order your ballot, my ballot, anybody out there, people could order their ballot and have it sent anywhere in the world. And
yep,
and
I told my mom that's 2 years ago, and she's unfortunately a lefty, but She was like, "You're nuts. Get that tin hat off your head." And I'm like, you know what, Mom? One of these days, I'm gonna just order your ballot. I know your birth date. Maybe I'll have it sent to my house and see what happens. Maybe you'll believe me then.
And unfortunate though, it's not just the left who
No,
thinks. s- I
no,
mean,
I'm
there
just
there are
saying that she is
there are plenty of people on the right who really question whether it really can happen.
right.
And until we get everybody understanding how it happens,
Well, I just showed somebody yesterday, and she is a Republican. And she knew, what happened and whatnot, but she hadn't heard, is it fixed or anything since Harry had ordered the ballots. And I said, no. I said, I actually went a step further, and I was trying to figure out how Kimberly Zapata
okay,
did the military ballots. And I showed her that I figured it out. I won't go into it,
okay, yeah,
right now. I
because
know.
it's going to come later in the show.
But I'm just saying, I showed it to her yesterday, and she's like, "You've got to be kidding me." I said, "No." That was the first time she had ever seen either one of them demonstrated in front of her.
So tonight, folks, we're actually going to show you how Harry did it,
Mm-hmm.
and we're going to show you how Red was able to do it to get her ballot.
Mm-hmm.
Now, understand that her ballot comes to our home, but she could have had it sent anywhere,
Correct.
and we'll explain why she did that. But we're going to walk through the process of how Harry did it, how Red did it.
And let's preface it by saying this is for demonstration purposes only. We do not suggest anybody try this at home.
No, absolutely not. And I just put the disclaimer up. It's going to roll across the entire show.
Mm-hmm.
Please don't do this at home. I mean, there are serious consequences if you do. As you know, Harry is facing 7 years in prison. So
And that's for something he did, proving it and videotaping it
as
all along the way.
as a whistleblower.
Yes, or a
And
watchdog.
and so again, this is for demonstration purposes only.
Right.
Uh, please do not, you know, test it on your own. And we will clarify this by saying we stopped one step short of submitting any
Correct.
of this. We're just going to show you the steps up until the point where you would hit
One
request
more
my
button.
ballot.
Yep.
And then it would have been official. So we did not take it to that length. And we can also say that what we're going to show you tonight, although the first way we're going to show you, we know that the ballot is sent out
Mm-hmm.
because Harry received ballots, Red received her ballot.
Mm-hmm.
When we get into the military ballots, we can't confirm without pushing that submit button
Correct.
whether or not we would actually receive the ballots.
But there was still alarming stuff that it states on there, and we'll get
But
we'll get to that.
But the fact that it allows us to get to that point suggests to me that it would allow us to.
Right.
But we don't know that, so we're not making. We can't say for sure that we would actually obtain the ballot. But it's important that people understand how this happens and why this makes us so much more vulnerable.
Right.
And
Well, and I found out more vulnerable stuff just before the show
and we talked
for other states.
we talked last night about the fact that in Wisconsin, and some of this is going to be specific to Wisconsin, folks. So if you're outside Wisconsin, you can do the research in your own state.
Which I started to do, and I didn't realize what time it was because the day totally got away from me.
But in Wisconsin, we have 8.3 or 8.4 million people on the voter rolls. We've only got 4.3 million people in this state that are eligible to vote.
Correct.
So you can see we've got several million people whose names are on the voter roll where someone could do the things that we're going to show you tonight.
And they got a big pool to pick from, that's for sure.
They most certainly do. So again, folks, I'll say it one last time before we start.
Mm-hmm.
And Red's going to kind of excuse me, Red's going to going to explain what she did to secure her. I got the hiccups.
My ballot without using an ID. But we will show if you do it what I first started doing, what way I first started doing it, it showed that I needed my ID. And we'll explain that when he brings them up. But like I said, I wanted to see, and I haven't gotten a chance to look fully yet. I wanted to see what other kind of voting systems out there in the other states are like this one, or if other ones require a username password. I know one state does, and I checked on that years ago. I believe that was New Jersey, but I can't confirm that. But I got sidetracked because I looked up, and this is being found on Ballotpedia. I wanted to see, where do I find the links to where I request them in the various states. And I noticed it said something about absentee / mail-in voting is voting. Well, that doesn't matter. Sorry, you'll know what that part is. States that automatically deliver mail-in ballots to all eligible voters are called all-mail voters. Oh, sorry, voting states. There are 8 states that will send you an absentee ballot without requesting it. It's automatic to all eligible voters. And from what I understand so far, you cannot opt out of it. And those states are California, Colorado, Hawaii, Nevada, Oregon, Utah, Vermont, and Washington. Although in 2029, Utah will require voters to request the mail-in ballot. So they're switching it.
Now that's interesting because that's got to be something new. We left Vegas in 2018.
Yep. And it started in 2021.
Okay, so that's new.
All mail-in election is what it's called, or universal mail-in voting. That's pretty alarming. And
Well,
that's where I got sidetracked.
Let's hope they have some safeguards that don't appear to exist in Wisconsin. If they're sending ballots out to every eligible voter.
Yep.
So, Red, let's walk people through, and we'll explain to them how Harry did it.
Right.
And what you did to secure your ballot.
Okay.
Because I think it was pretty much the same. We'll point out the couple differences there are between 2022 when Harry did it and when you did it in 2024. So with that,
and mind you, I've been getting my ballot ever since, and I've only requested it one time, and I'm told that they just told me that I have to go to my clerk and tell them to stop sending it.
So we've got a website in Wisconsin called My Vote.
Yep.
My Vote is Wex
baby.
So when you go to My Vote, and I don't know how clear some of this stuff is going to be.
You might have to, well, even if I enlarge it doesn't.
It may not because
okay.
it comes through a little blurry red, unfortunately. But we can walk people through what we're seeing.
And I know on Rumble you can see it a little better than what you can in the backstage, but
in any event,
yes.
When you go to My Vote, there's some things you can do. You can check your voting status. You can register to vote. There's several things you can do.
Correct.
Up to and including requesting your absentee ballot.
Correct.
So this would be the first step in requesting my absentee ballot, and I did this under my name. So I did redact my last name and my birth date.
Yep.
So, Red, I'm going to let you explain what.
Okay, so you go on and you click on the vote absentee by mail, and then it'll come to the screen that you're seeing right now, and it says search your name. So Scott put in his name and birth date and click search. That's
And
pretty simple.
and then when you click search, you will come up to this page.
Yep, registered voter found.
So in my case, I am a registered voter. I vote all the time.
Mm-hmm.
So they found my voter registration.
Then you would click on the request absentee ballot, which is the first blue link.
All right. And that brings you then to this page.
Yep. And this one, you would check the first box, and it says the above address and name are mine and correct. Now, when I don't know what it was like when Harry did it.
Well, this is
but-
where the statute is, and I don't believe it was there.
Correct. But it wasn't there when I did it either,
Okay,
is what I was getting at.
okay, so that was added at some point after the fact.
About a month prior to Harry's trial is when I noticed the
Okay, so-
statutes. That's when
so-
I noticed them.
I'm sorry, that box read what? I can't read what that box says.
It says the above address and name are mine and correct. And now it starts to say what's been added. Any person who impersonates a registered elector poses as another person for the purpose of voting at an election, falsely procures registration or election materials, or otherwise violates the law, will be referred for prosecution. And then it has this 3 state statutes.
Okay,
And those were not there when I did it. I don't know if they were there when Harry
right,
did or not.
But you were not violating the law because
No.
you were requesting your own ballot. So, but in the case of Harry, and we have to stress that.
Yep.
This paragraph did not exist when Harry did it.
Not that I'm aware of, no. What's the statute numbers, Keeter? The statute, Wisconsin statute 12.13, and then, what is that, subsection 1? And then there's a Wisconsin state chapters 939 through 951. And then the last one is 52 U.S. Code 20511. I'll put them in the chat after I'm done, after we're done going through these.
Okay, so we check that box saying
Yep.
that I am who I am. Say I am.
Yep.
And that takes us. Then we hit.
Well, and then, when I did it, I just clicked continue the first time.
And that's what we did today.
Yep.
And it takes you to this page.
Where it says you need to upload an ID. And I'm like,
Right.
well, wait a minute. How did Harry do it? So then I went back a step.
Right. So
To
folks,
that previous page.
if we had continued, and this would be much more acceptable to me because
Yes.
if I have to upload my ID, I know
Yep.
that I'm the only one that can request my ballot.
Which I think that's the way it should be.
Absolutely.
But instead, we went back a page. And as soon as
here
he
we
gets it up
go.
there.
And you will see the highlighted.
So then I went back the page, like I said, came back to this screen. I clicked the above address is mine. And then I also clicked, I am indefinitely confined due to age, illness, infirmity, whatever the word is, or disability, and request ballots be sent to me for every election until I am no longer confined or fail to return a ballot. So then I check that box and push continue.
So by checking the indefinitely confined box, folks, this is what happens next. It takes you to this screen.
I am requesting a ballot for all future elections. Photo ID upload status not required.
So here's the difference, folks. By checking the indefinitely confined box,
You don't have to
You-
prove who you are.
you no longer have to provide an ID
Nope.
to secure a ballot.
Nope. And that is also how you can send it to any address that you would like.
Right. So this is how Harry did it,
Mm-hmm.
and this is what got Harry charged with the charges that he faced,
Yep.
and and how they found him with a guilty plea, or a guilty verdict rather. Uh,
Yeah. Well,
Now with God willing, he will get a new trial,
correct.
and we'll talk about more about that later. But so this is how it's done. This is one way it's done.
One way it's done. Yeah.
Now, folks, if you don't live in Wisconsin, you may remember us talking about somebody by the name of Kimberly Zapata, who worked for the
With-
city of Milwaukee.
Yep. For the clerk's office under Claire Woodall Volk. I'm probably saying it wrong, but
And so Kimberly Zapata, this would be after Harry had done when Harry requested the ballots.
Yep.
Kimberly Zapata requested ballots in military names
made up military names.
and had them sent to Representative Janelle Branchen's address.
And I'll keep my opinions to myself on that one. But so I'm like thinking, one day I was just like, how in the heck did she do that? Because if you looked when on Scott's first page, where you search by name, there is also a register button. And I thought, well, if she's doing made up names, they have to be registered, don't they? So I'm looking, I'm like, how does she do it? How does she do it? I couldn't figure it out. And then I did. I figured it out, about 2 weeks ago?
Or maybe a little longer ago. Yeah.
Okay, so you're...
I'm not there yet.
Okay.
So Red was able to determine that there are ways to request military ballots,
Correct.
or ballots for military personnel. And
Yep.
this is
Without registering.
this is where it gets really scary to me, Red.
Yes, absolutely.
Even more so than this.
Yep. I think this one's
but-
even more alarming.
But this one, keep in mind, folks, people who have the intention of cheating the system. We've got 4 million names, more than 4. Well, no, I guess it's about 4 million more names.
Well, it keeps
on
growing, so...
on our voter rolls than we do registered voters
Right.
in the state of Wisconsin, or eligible voters.
Right.
Not even registered voters.
Well, they're registered. They're just not eligible. Most of them, I'm sure.
So we've got a lot of names to choose from who are registered voters but don't vote.
Right. And somebody brought to our attention this article. It was published September 1st of 2021. Report: Wisconsin lost track of 82,000 ballots in a state that Biden won by 20,000.
Right,
votes.
and as I read that article, and that was provided to us by AJ.
Yep.
Obviously, and well, not obviously, it's obvious to me, but AJ
Yeah.
provided us with this article, and again, 4 times the difference in the outcome of the vote.
So, 82,000 ballots. Think about that. Are 82,000 ballots legitimate? Were they legitimate? Were half of them? Were none of them?
And who
We don't know.
who were the votes cast for? Were they Trump votes? Were they Biden votes? We don't know.
Right.
But the bottom line is there are 82,000. Now, WEC disputes some of these numbers,
Mhm.
as you would expect they would.
Of course.
But over time, if you go back, because we've had early voting for a while here now in Wisconsin, this was the only election, the
Mhm.
2020 election was the only one where the number of unreturned ballots exceeded the difference in the outcome of the. So in the other races, even if all of them had been returned, it would not have swung the election, even if they had all been for one candidate. It
Right.
wouldn't have changed the outcome.
Yeah.
But this one clearly could have changed the outcome
Yeah. If they're
of the 2020 election.
legitimate ballots, and maybe that's why they're still missing. Because it would have changed the outcome. Maybe they didn't like who the person was voting for, so they just kind of tossed it to the side and said, we're going to make a new one for Biden.
So Red, I hate to jump into the military ones as we're approaching the break.
Mm-hmm.
Let's talk about the military ballots after the break.
That's fine.
The break was coming up in a minute. I moved it up just a minute. We'll take a quick break, and that'll give us the second half of the show to talk about the military ballots, which is a bigger problem in my eyes.
Yeah, definitely. In my eyes, it would be too.
So, we're talking about Harry Wade tonight,
Right.
and we're going to keep talking about Harry Wade.
Yes, we will.
We've got the letter writing campaign underway.
Mm-hmm.
And interestingly enough, folks, I didn't know this would happen. This one shocked me a little bit. That letters that are being sent to the judge are actually showing up in CCAP, which in Wisconsin is where you can search the case and the outcome of the case and
Right.
all the details of the case. And so the judge is documenting those
Yep.
in the case files, which means it's even more important that we
Well,
keep sending the letters, because
definitely.
right now there's only a handful. And wouldn't it be
And
nice?
that'll show us how many people wrote or sent letters too.
Wouldn't it be nice to click on CCAP one day and have to page through like 20 pages
That would be amazing.
where it just says letter of support received, or whatever, however it's worded.
That would be amazing.
So, to Judge Johnson's credit, he is documenting that he's receiving these.
Mm-hmm.
So, folks, go to Harry's Army
On
on Facebook, on Telegram, on Signal,
X
and
is.
on X.
You're
X
looking
is-
at me like, come
X
on,
is
say
Harry's
it.
Army 2026.
Yep. And I did upload the updated version of the PDF, which would be the talking points, with the corrected email address for us, because it was wrong, and people were telling us that they weren't. The emails to let us know that they sent theirs was bouncing back.
So we are asking that you contact us at Harry's Army 2026 at gmail.com.
Mm-hmm.
Just shoot us an email and say, hey, I sent off a letter.
Yep.
Because we're trying to track how many letters the judge is being sent.
Right. You don't have to You don't have to send the letter to us, which a few people have. But if you would like to, great. If you don't want to, you don't have to.
And you can message us through the
Yeah.
Facebook page. Just
Yeah.
let us
Or-
know in some way.
Yeah.
If you have my personal phone number, shoot me a text. You know,
Yeah.
whatever it is, just let us know, because we are trying to track it. There's a PDF with some really good talking points.
They're character letters. Thank you, Harry.
We're trying to overwhelm the system, and we put together a nice bulleted list of factual items about the case that you can include in your letter. Include them all, or include just one or two.
But do not copy paste, please.
Well, we're looking for handwritten, ideally.
So the judge will actually read them.
But no form letters where you pass it around you shoot off copies and have everybody at the office sign them, because those are the kind that end up in the circular file.
Right.
More often than not. So, but get your letters in support of Harry Wade, and now we know that he's filed a motion for a new trial. So you could include that in your letter if you wish.
Right.
That's not in the talking points,
No.
because that came out after.
Right.
But the judge's address is in there. We
The
are,
case number. Don't forget the case number.
and we are asking that you obviously use professionalism. Show respect to the judge,
Mhm.
and we're trying to impact
The
the sentencing
and requesting
in the
lenient-
event that
yeah,
Harry is
requesting
not
lenient-
granted a new
lenient.
trial. So that's your assignment, folks.
And it does not have to be from just Wisconsinites. It can be from anywhere in the country.
No, in fact, we want it. We want them from all over. And we, like I say, we want to go to CCAP. I want to go to CCAP next week and find out that I have to page through 10 or 12 pages of
that would
just
be
letters.
awesome.
I mean, I would do cartwitals.
Well,
And
that
Red,
would be.
Red will
that'd be-
record them, and we'll
yes,
play
I
them
will.
here.
I'll record them. That'd be a sight to see. Anyway, we've done the letter writing campaign for, well, not we, but people around the country have wrote in letters for Tina
On behalf
Peters,
of Tina Peters.
and I know somebody that's done it every week. for the last couple
And
months.
unfortunately, Tina Peters was sentenced, and she's been in prison now for over 550 days.
Right.
I forgot the number. Joe Altman just told me the other day what the number was, but with any luck at all, Tina will be set free in the coming days. I'm hopeful. Anyway, that's your assignment, Tin Hat Nation.
Yeah.
Write your letters, get them mailed out. And again, if you're really in a pinch and you can't swing the 80 cents for a letter, let me know and I'll shoot some quarters your way or something. We'll figure out how to get it mailed.
Definitely will.
All right. On to the second half, Red. So let's talk about...
Hang on 1 second. Catherine, I will get you the case number and put it in, or I'll message it to you, but it is in the PDF as well.
So, Red, let's talk about military ballots. But before we do, I'm going to stress this because I want to make sure that AJ's not on the hook for anything we put out here tonight.
Correct.
Please do not attempt to do this from home. You know, we saw what happened to Harry when Harry did it, and we don't want another situation like this. Harry exposed the vulnerabilities, and hopefully Harry's case will help get this fixed. But part of what needs to be fixed is people need to understand how this is happening.
I do want to interrupt you real quick. You know, to me, this shows the character of Harry Waite and how selfless this man is. We're talking about him and trying to get it leniency and show the vulnerabilities and prove it. What he did is easy and anybody can do it. Instead, he's asking for prayers for Tina Peters and asks that she will go from the pit to the palace.
Absolutely.
And
so
I'm sorry, but that brings tears to my eyes.
Prayers,
it shows how selfless that man is.
And Harry's a very humble man.
Yes.
So I will agree with Harry. Let's pray for Tina, but I will also add, let's keep Harry in your prayers.
Exactly. But he doesn't ask for
love
stuff
Harry.
like that
no,
himself.
He doesn't. He's too damn humble sometimes.
Yes, and that's... I just wish anybody and everybody could get to know this man because he's simply amazing.
He's an incredible man. All right, Red, let's talk about the military ballot. So you were struggling with how did Kimberly Zapata do this? Did she have to register these fake names that she made up?
And then I thought, wait, she worked at the clerk's office, so maybe she registered them ahead of time.
So let's go and see what we can do about registering someone from the or getting a ballot for someone from the military.
Yeah, and we used a fake name.
We used a fake name and a fake birth date.
Yep, and so the name was Barney Fife.
So Barney Fife is a member of the military. He was born on January 1st of 1901. And we put in Barney Fife's information.
So, Keter. Well, golly, Andy. So I was thinking about the birthday part, though, and I was like, what do we put in for a birthday? And I'm like, I remember one time seeing, and I want to say that Megan Wolf even said it when she was on that little tour around the state and said that they have a default birthday of 1/1/1900. So I thought, well, let's try 1901.
Was this on the tour to remind us that we are having the safest and most secure elections?
Yep, that one.
Yeah, okay.
So I thought, let's try that and see if that works.
All right, so we put in Barney Fife, born on January 1st, 1901, and we went to, and we hit search. And Red, I can't read what it says.
It says, sorry, we can't find your record in the system. Either register to vote, or you go down a little bit and you see a little blue button that says military voters. But before you click it, it states, if you are a military voter, you do not need to register.
So this is how we circumvent the system of registering, because apparently if you're in the military and you request an absentee ballot,
you don't need to register. Oh, you know what? Wait, one thing. Right before that, it also states if you've been registered for a long time, try 1/1/1900 as your birth date. Some voter registration records do not have a birth date, so 1/1/1900 is entered by default.
There you
It
go.
states it right
It's right
above
there
the
on their
military button.
website. All right. So from here, then, Red, we've got in Barney Fife. We've got his birth date,
And I clicked on
and
military ballot.
we click on military ballot, which then brings you to this page.
Which is the pop-up window that I did not read the first few times I did it. And I just typed in yes.
In the box.
Because it says, I am currently active duty. And then I thought, I'm not going to read the rest. So I just typed in yes. However, I finally did read it. And it says, I am a current active duty member of the Uniformed Service, Merchant Marine, or Peace Corps, a civilian employee of the United States government currently serving outside of the United States, or a spouse or dependent of the above accompanying the member. By entering my initials below, I am certifying the above statement. But I was writing yes.
So that's
instead of BF.
So that's what we did today. We put yes. So the system did not identify that this was not Barney Fife's initials.
No, it just
it allowed us to then click on the
continue
button.
And after I read that, I'm like, wait, why did it let me pass that page if I didn't write in BF? Instead, I wrote YES.
Okay, so now this prompts you then the next page. Put in the address.
It says my voter registration information is what it says. So you put in the person's name and birth date, the address, and this is only half the screen because it was a big screen or long screen, so we took it in 2 separate screenshots.
But in this case, we put in the address of the Wisconsin State Capitol.
Oh, is that what that was?
In Madison, Wisconsin.
Okay, yeah.
And
didn't know that's the address you looked up. So then the next, are you on the next one?
So you'll see the box down here that's shaded. It says I am an active military voter. So that carried over from the previous page.
You cannot uncheck it. And it also states that if you are a military voter, you cannot, active military voter, you cannot use the indefinitely confined, obviously. So in this screen, are you on this screen yet? Nope, you're not.
No, so now this is the lower half
of the same screen.
Of the same page.
So then you can see the address. And it says, there's boxes that you can, check, and it says, I want my ballot mailed to a different address. We left that blank. I am an active military voter. That one is automatically checked. But in the blue, it says, I would like to receive my ballot online. Instructions will follow after you submit. So you can get your ballot online.
If you're if you're in the military.
The next blue box says, I would like to receive my ballot by email. And you know what? I had an argument with one of the Supreme Court candidates a couple years ago that they were allowed to vote by email. He said, you cannot do that. I said, oh, yes, you can. There it is. Anyway, the third box says, I would like to receive my ballot by fax. And then the yellow box is what we checked, and it says, I would like to receive my ballot at my Wisconsin home address. And then the last one is, I would like to receive my ballot at the mailing address above. So we just checked the home address.
So in this case, Barney Fife lives at the Wisconsin State Capitol.
Correct.
In Madison, Wisconsin, and that's where he requested his ballot be sent.
That's his home.
That is his home. So we hit the continue button.
Which I thought, well, it's not going to do that. And I didn't know that's the address you put in.
And it takes you to the next page.
Well, this one says, I am requesting an absentee ballot for, the 2 top ones. I do not wish to request a ballot at this time. Well, why the heck you filling it out? The next one, all elections for the calendar year ending 12/31/2026. And then I checked the third circle saying the following upcoming elections. And then we put a check mark in the partisan primary in August and the general election in November. So Barney Fife will be getting a ballot for those two, if he would have submitted.
And we're going to go to the next page, and here's
This is the final page.
This is the final page before you click
request
my ballot, and I'll let you read what it says.
So it's review and submit my absentee ballot request. The name, the contact information, which would be I'm registered to vote at 2E Main Street, Madison, Wisconsin, another zip code. Where I want my ballot sent, same address. I am requesting a ballot for 2026 partisan primary, 2026 general election. Last one that's highlighted in blue, photo ID upload status, not required. And then
that's yellow, highlighted in yellow. You said blue.
Did I? Oh, I'm sorry.
Yes.
I'm colorblind tonight, I guess. So the photo ID is in yellow. And then the box in yellow is the last box that you would need to check. I hereby certify to the best of my knowledge that I am a qualified elector. Best of my knowledge. Okay, anyway, a U.S. citizen at least 18 years old at the time for the next election, having resided at the above address for at least 28 consecutive days preceding this election, with no present intent to move. I am not currently serving a sentence including probation or parole for a felony conviction and am not otherwise disqualified for voting. I certify that all statements on this form are true and correct. If I have provided false information, I may be subject to fine or imprisonment under state and federal laws. Now, do you see a state statute there?
No.
No. How convenient.
So there,
And
here there is not any statute
Nope.
cited
Nope.
in that paragraph where you're checking that box. And we don't know, folks, if this is how Kimberly Zapata secured military ballots, but we have to assume that it may have been using this process.
Because it was pretty dang easy.
Because they were made up names. It was very easy.
We even tried it with Abraham Lincoln.
So, folks, I'm going to point out two differences. Kimberly Zapata requested ballots in the name of military personnel, made up names of military personnel,
right.
Had them sent to a standing Wisconsin state representative.
That was trying to expose the fraud in elections.
The representative was?
Yes,
okay.
the representative was.
Okay, so Kimberly Zapata, who worked for the clerk's office in Milwaukee, did all this, did not document.
Nope.
Did not videotape.
Nope.
Did not turn the ballot. She had them sent to another home. She had them sent to Representative Branchen's home.
And she is the only one that, she is in, Janelle, is the only one that has ever lived at that address, her and her family, because they bought the land and built the home there. There has never been anybody else that has voted there ever.
There are two glaring differences between several glaring differences between what Kimberly Zapata did and what Harry Waite did. She didn't turn them over to law enforcement.
No.
She didn't notify anybody
didn't document
that she had done this.
No.
She just did it.
She only, and then when Janelle got these ballots, Janelle turned them in, and that's when Kimberly Zapata all of a sudden is a whistleblower because she got caught.
And Kimberly Zapata walked away from the crime that she committed, or what she did, with some probation time and some community service and a fine.
Yep.
A minimal fine at that.
I could not find anywhere where it said that she spent even one day in jail.
Harry Waite, who
documented
absolutely everything along the way through the process,
told on himself after he requested the ballots, before they were even the next business day to be sent out, and told the people, like the clerk, the sheriff, I remember,
tried to return the ballot to the clerk.
Yep. And the representatives.
And it was when she would not accept the ballot that Harry then went to
the sheriff
and said, "Here it is. Here's what I did."
Unopened. He never opened them.
So glaring differences, but this is a problem, Red. And
It is.
now there are going to be people out there, and this is why we did this. We wanted to show people how it can be done. And please look at the scroll along the bottom. Do not attempt this at
No.
home. Do not put yourself, at risk of being arrested.
Mm-mm.
Nobody has to do that. It's been exposed. Harry exposed it.
Right. We just went a
And
step further to
this
see
is
how
for
Kimberly
demonstration
Zapata did it.
reasons only. And I will also clarify that we don't know if I hit that submit button. We don't know if the ballots would have been sent to the Wisconsin State Capitol for Barney Fife. We don't know that. We can't say for certain that it would have been. But we can't say that we don't know that the safeguards are in place because there are clerks across this state
Yep.
who don't believe that Harry Waite was able to do what he did.
Mm-hmm. And I'm going to guess that if a ballot request for a Barney Fife with the birth date of 1/1/1901 comes across a clerk's desk, they're going to say, this doesn't sound right. Maybe I should look into it.
Most people,
But we don't know.
But most people wouldn't use. I mean, if we were doing this to secure ballots,
Yeah.
we wouldn't be using Barney Fife with a birth date in the last century. We would be using believable names and believable birth dates. And I can guarantee you that I know people who could write programs, who could generate all the information that we just did and secure an awful lot of ballots.
Yeah, that's another thing. They don't have a little box saying that you're a real human being and not a robot.
But between the 4 million people in excess of the eligible voters in this state, between all those names that people can choose from, and now we can make up names and say they're in the military. We don't have to even be registered to vote.
Nope. Or have an ID.
And I don't believe that clerks are given a list of anybody from within their municipalities or in their of military personnel.
From what I'm understanding, because we asked them questions, they do not have a voter roll specific for military personnel. So therefore, that's why they do not have to register to vote. And I'm not going to give that information out because I'm not going to give them any more ideas. But thank you, Harry.
So folks, you could see the problem that exists in Wisconsin.
Mm-hmm.
And this is why we need the Save America Act.
Right.
Vote in person with an ID. Wipe the voter rolls clean.
Exactly.
Like start from scratch. It doesn't mean you have to destroy the voter rolls.
Well, I would like them to.
Well, I mean, that was the argument Tim was using. He wasn't using it. He was saying that they're saying they have to keep those for historical reasons. But you can put it in another
lockbox
file. I mean, just and
they'll bring it right
start
back out.
Start from scratch.
Yeah.
And
I'd be more than happy to go in, like again, I said, and re-register.
I'm going to base this on what Dr. Frank told me.
Mm-hmm.
If you have access to the voter rolls, you also have access to whether or not someone has
voted
votes.
Mm-hmm.
And with all that excessive number of people who are on our voter rolls, for the people who have that list, they can find an awful lot of people who don't routinely vote and have their ballot sent to their house and send it in, and nobody would know the difference.
Nope.
Susie, the clerk in Random Lake, would say, "Oh, look at Paul's going to vote this year."
Yep. You know,
Paul must have woke up.
I had kept an eye on somebody's if they voted or not, for the simple fact that I know for a fact that he moved out of state, and it said that all the way up until I believe it was October, November, that he was still registered. I could not tell if the record says that he did not vote. But when we went to see Dr. Frank, I wanted to confirm it. And I noticed that the person that purchased that same house, that address, they are registered to vote and registered to vote 2 years after this person bought the house and has not voted. Why register if you're not going to vote? But because we can register the same day. That's the reason why I say that. But my question is, are they actually going to put on there, yes, they voted, if they did not vote, but they used his name? That's the only question I have. And I don't know how to prove that one.
Right. You know, and now some will argue, well, now they've got this little disclaimer box that you have to check that indicates the statutes that you're violating and the the crime that you're committing if you do it in someone else's name. But let's face it, Red, if your goal is to change the outcome of an election, the last thing you're really worrying about,
Am I breaking a law?
and there are ways to exactly.
Well, just look at the person up in Brown County that was on the Green Bay School Board, not living in the district.
Oh, the candidate you're talking about.
Well, he was a candidate, and then
became
he signed those papers. Well, he signed those papers under penalty of perjury. Really? Does it really matter? Because he ended up getting elected, served almost a full year,
Right.
and then he got caught.
Right. But the bottom line is, if you're willing to cheat,
Yep.
to change the outcome of an election, you're not worrying about that box.
No.
And like I said, you know, that there are people a lot smarter than me and a lot wealthier than me who can buy the voter roll.
Right.
They can lay out the 12,500 that Wisconsin requires to obtain it.
Yep.
They
Every
could,
time you request it.
they have the intellect to write the programs to just plug all the information in and have the computer request all the ballots, and voila, you have changed the outcome of an election. And maybe I don't know, Red, it's a problem.
It is definitely a problem, and that's why I want to look at these other systems. And when I started to research other states, like I said, I got sidetracked by the all mail voting. And I do have that up here. It says, in these states, voting is conducted primarily by mail, and all eligible voters received a ballot by default. And then it has the terminology and all the information that you know.
If their voter rolls are accurate, you know, if it's not
California,
like, well,
come on.
Granted, California probably is. We need to just go back to one day in person on paper,
hand count,
and dump the voter roll and start from scratch and register
all over again.
Nobody has a problem registering to vote.
No.
Except for the lefties who think that some people can't figure it out.
Maybe they can't figure it out, and that's why they don't want to do it.
They can't figure out how to cheat when you...
That's very true.
But we have to remove this road to cheating.
Mm-hmm.
We just do. And we're not going to get it under Governor Evers.
No,
Governor Evers will do nothing. In fact, he's doing everything he can to prevent the voter rolls from being cleaned up, from being addressed.
Yep, he's refused to turn over our voter rolls by request from the federal government. You know, and I find it funny that the Utah mail-in vote thing, it did state that starting in 2029, Utah will require voters to request it instead of automatically receiving it. Why 2029? Why not 2027, 2028?
It'll be interesting to see if we can get the Save America Act passed, how different our elections will look if they're run properly, or we remove some of this crap that we see.
Yep.
And how long have we been doing this? You know, we talked about it a little bit last night about the fact that it wasn't long ago that you had to have a valid reason to request an absentee ballot. You couldn't you couldn't do it just because you wanted to. I don't want to stand in line, and I don't want to,
I don't want to miss
You
it.
had to have a
So,
reason, and
it just, I see these things and man, I don't know if I want to look into other states now because I don't know how many more are going to disappoint
it
me.
it just
But
doesn't. It
it needs
doesn't.
to be, it needs to be put out there. People need to see this. They need to know what's going on. If they don't believe you, we have to show them.
And
And
that's the thing. We have to show people how it can be done. Uh, we have to explain to people what Harry did. People still don't understand what Harry did.
and some people ask me, well, I realized that what he did was he exposed it, but, and their but, did he have to actually do it? Yeah, because you know what? We've been speaking about it and telling people about it for how long, and they still don't believe it can be done. That's how you show it worked. What he did worked.
And that's what we have to do, Red. We have people, and this may not go down as one of our best shows ever, but you know what? We just showed how it can be done. And I hope that people will take the time to look at these slides as we took screenshots as we did this.
Yep.
And again, we can't confirm that we would get the ballots. Maybe we wouldn't receive them. But the fact that it allows us to go all the way through to that last step of request my ballot is
It
scary.
shouldn't even have gotten that far.
No.
Especially
minute
the
we-
military one when I said YES instead of putting my initials in. Shouldn't have never went past that one.
And a birth date. They shouldn't have a birth date default of 1900.
1901, yeah. We even changed it to 1902 just to see, and yep, it worked.
And I dare to bet if I had put in 2001, it would have worked as well.
Yeah, we didn't try that one.
Well, Red, we're up against the hour. We're gonna
That went
get
really
out of here in
fast.
an hour. So there you have it, folks. That's how people can cheat.
And I dare to bet it's the same way across the U.S.
And I dare to bet there is cheating taking place. When
Oh, absolutely.
with the number of absentee ballots that are requested these days, and the names you have to choose from, we know that cheating is taking place. And
Right.
share this. Explain to your friends and neighbors and coworkers how it's done.
And if they don't believe you by seeing the screenshots, I would go ahead and try not actually submit it. I'm not saying actually submit it, but I showed you how to do it. Just do not push submit.
And Red, unfortunately, the gas price went up to $4 a gallon. But you know what?
Yep.
If someone said to me from Superior, Wisconsin, "Come and show me how it's done,"
I'll drive
I'll
up
get
there.
in the damn car and we'll drive up there and we'll show them.
Yeah.
We'll show them how it's done.
If somebody anywhere asks us how it's done, I don't want to take the chance. All right, let us take the chance. We're not actually submitting it and requesting, but we'll come up and show you. We'll go wherever it takes to prove this to people.
We have to. We have to get the word out because people have to understand that this is still happening. 4.5 damn years, 4 years after Harry exposed the vulnerabilities, it's still happening today.
Yep.
And it's got to come to a damn end. It just has to.
Because what else is it going to take? I hate to see what it's going to take. Good idea. No, I don't feel like I'm shouting.
Well, we got to get it fixed, and we got to end this show because otherwise we're going to run long again.
Yeah, we don't need to do
So
that
if you're
every
listening
time.
on Rumble or YouTube and you want to join the conversation, because some people may be talking about this, but what's said in the backstage stays in the backstage, so you're free to talk about anything that you want to.
And I do have a comment on Rumble. Don't do this. Just go write a letter to the judge for Harry, please. Yes.
Yeah, and again, look at the thing scrolling on the ribbon along the bottom. Do not attempt this. This was for educational purposes only. Do not do it. We're not asking anybody to do it. We don't want you to do it. But if you want verification that it can be done, short of hitting that request my ballot. Red and I will get in the car and we'll drive anywhere to show you or your group
Yep.
how it can be done.
Yep. It's
And-
pretty easy.
Again, it's got to end. Harry exposed it 4 years ago. It's still happening, and we got to fix it.
It needs to be
And if
fixed.
President Trump can't fix it, then we need to raise some hell in Wisconsin and get it fixed.
Or across
And-
the country.
And the more we talk about it, and the more people understand that it can be done, maybe more people would stomp their feet, and we can force people like Governor Evers and whoever to address it. With that, Red,
Let's stop wasting people's time.
because we've got a republic to save.
Have a good night, everyone.
Wait a minute.
Oh.
AJ will be in tomorrow night, and AJ, it's going to be a great show. He's going to talk about the missing and
Scientists.
scientists and researchers. Yes, the missing and dead. That'll be a great show. And don't forget, Sunday morning, 10:30 a.m., where 2 or more are gathered. Little Bible study and service fellowship in the backstage, not recorded. Come and join us Sunday morning.
He's talking about missing UFO and nuclear people.
There we go. Yes. Have a good night, folks.